Welcome to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast, brought to you in proud partnership with J&S Accessories and B-Moto Motorcycle Insurance. Hello and welcome to Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast. This is episode number 115 and welcome back to J&S Accessories at Oakmere. As always, my co-host, Ben Currie. Welcome back, mate. Nice to see you.
Cheers, Dave.
And we also have our social media guru and MotoGP commentator, Matt Dunn. Matt, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hello. Sorry, don't actually think it's 115, is it? I thought it was 116.
This is, I'm making sure who's awake. I know it's 116, but I'm making sure that you boys are listening.
I was listening, yeah.
See, I was zoned out.
I would know because I did some of the thumbnails for episode 115. So I thought, wait a minute, this is.
Wow, that's my little test done, and I think I covered it quite well.
Yeah, well. Been a pleasure being on, boys. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you episode 175.
Mate, welcome along. This is good to have you on.
What a pleasure. Yeah, I can't believe it.
Welcome being this far north as well. I know you've been up with Josie up into Durham for the last week or so. And
this is not north, so
well, no. But for you, it is.
We're in the company, and my much better half is from County Durham, and that is the north. Anywhere below York is technically south, or the Midlands, actually. As I've come to, we're sorry to offend anybody, but that's the broad reality, isn't it? So yeah, but it's good to be up here. It's a much better part of the world than down south. I tell you that. It's much more beautiful.
Ooh.
It's true.
I was just about to go down the road that why do people get so offended about the north and the south, and they get so funny about it? But then that just sort of clarifies why.
No.
There's your answer.
Because it's literally like, I'm south now. I hate it.
The more time we spend up north, the more we think, what the hell are we doing down south still? We need to get out of here.
Why is that? What's the...
Well, work, and I grew up down there and work, and then now you have any more flexibility to go up north. Why wouldn't you go where it's more beautiful and cheaper?
They're the two words.
Exactly.
It's beautiful and it's cheaper.
If you're north, you're cheap.
Yeah, mate, I've been called worse by better.
Australian.
I've been called worse by better.
Yeah, but you're just someone whose average food shop costs $100 bloody back home in Australia.
Where are you going shopping for $100?
Coles on Phillip Island.
There's no way in the world you're shopping for a week for $100. Like 2 days maximum. It's $300 a week.
Expensive out there, though.
Oh yeah, literally a loaf of bread's like $6. Over here, it's like a pound. So do the maths. It's insane.
No, I can't.
You can't. You're from north.
Shit at maths. I'm really poor at maths.
The podcast where we talk about bread.
Point. Yeah, and the price of eggs, because they're expensive as well.
No one can get tomatoes anymore either. Simon Crayfile messaging me the other day saying, "Oh, sorry, mate, I hear you've got some trouble with tomatoes back in your homeland. Here's my dad's crop for you." I was like, he'd be rich over here now.
Literally like a gold mine, isn't it?
See, well, this is the kind of chat that you want on a podcast, isn't it? It's nice and open, nice and relaxed. We'll get on to some motorcycle racing stuff shortly. But I wanted to say for the guys and ladies so far that have subscribed to the YouTube channel, we are just tipping over 500 subscribers, which is fantastic. We've got one guy in front of me telling me to look at one camera and then one looking at the other. That's the wide lens. Am I not looking at that one?
This is what we're dealing with here.
This is what we're dealing with here. Which camera am I looking at, Rob?
No, this is that camera.
See what I mean?
We're trying to make the adjustment to a video first podcast.
We're adjusting as we go on.
We're going to have to start making cuts, Dave.
But the host is right. The host is right because I was told to look at that camera.
Yeah. I don't look at the camera.
I'm going to do that bit again.
I just look at you. So
thanks, man.
It's easy.
Nice.
It's better now that Matt's here because I can I've got someone else to look at now.
Do you guys want to be left alone? Or
But anyway, back to the YouTube thing. Thank you to everyone that's subscribed to the channel so far. We've just tipped over 500 subscribers, which is fantastic. I'm delighted with that, and the social media as well. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, please head over there, hit the button. You don't have to click the bell, but certainly click the subscribe button. That's
click the bell.
Is
what the bell's important, actually. Yeah. Ding.
No way. There we go.
No, I'm not even going to do it because I've got the ding on there.
It's too late.
It's too late to do that now.
Oh, dear me.
But no, the engagement is all going the right way, and the YouTube, some of the stuff that we put out through Paynton and through Matt and Ben and myself, we're overjoyed with it. So thank you for being a part of it. And also, we've got the Patreon scheme now launched. Boys, we're actually on Patreon now. We were going to go OnlyFans, but we thought that was maybe a little bit risky too soon.
Maybe later.
Maybe later.
Another point. Who knows? But Patreon's good. Like Patreon, it's a good sort of solid platform.
You did sort of say not to do the OnlyFans.
I love how he just just pushed OnlyFans completely.
We
to
had
the
a full
side.
conversation
And
about
he's
it.
like,
Matt,
let's
what should we
not
do?
do that.
We went, "Hey, you got Patreon set up? Let's run. Let's walk before we run."
This is not a
etc.,
corporate
not trip up.
space. Like what, when you say, oh, look, I'd rather not talk about this sort of segment. Boom, we're here. We're
Straight
talking
in.
about it. That's normally, if you don't want us to talk about something, don't say it.
Just don't mention it
Yeah.
because you know you're going to gravitate towards it at some point. But yeah, the Patreon side's set up now. So £5 a month gives you early access to the shows. It gives you some behind the scenes footage as well. Like we did at Leon, we did the walk around with the GoPro and looked at the museum. So whenever we go and visit people, there'll be extra footage on there as well. And we're going to drop in with extra phone calls because with our little machine here, we can drop in phone calls onto the audio that people won't be able to get anywhere else. So it's
How much does it cost?
£5
£5
a month.
It's almost a Starbucks coffee.
Almost.
Yeah.
But what we're also going to try and do is get companies to join us on Patreon and offer discount to our Patreon members.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can save £60 across a year, that's the cost of the membership for this for a whole 12 months. Every
about
little
that?
helps,
You've thought about that one, haven't you?
Yeah.
Mm.
Every little helps.
Did you do sales at any point in your career?
I was a state agent for 7 years.
There it is.
Were you? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's slightly better than a used car salesman, to be fair. In terms
I was
of
just
your
about to
legitimacy,
say,
yeah.
like, I'm going through at the moment, I'm going through buying a vehicle, my first ever vehicle that I'm going to buy, believe it or
Oh,
not.
really?
Because I've always just had like a deal with like a team or a sponsor. And this year it's absolutely dried up on that front. I don't know if that's because of what's happening on track or if that's just the way of the world at the moment. But oh my God, it's relentless. Phone call after phone call after phone call and trying to sell me these cars. I'm actually over dealing with car salespeople now. But anyway, that's another
You
conversation.
buying a new one or you got it?
I don't know is the question. I'm that confused.
You're going to end up with a new electric
this lady's
one that
ringing
does
me
about
next
200
this,
miles.
This fella's ringing me that I've gone through 5 different salespeople in the one dealership. And
Wow.
I just said, look, you got to stop calling me because 1 minute we're dealing with them, next minute you're dealing with them. Anyway, that's another story.
You can name and shame them.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
We're not that kind of
because
podcast.
I've got a discount on the looms for a car.
Excellent.
So
Oh, okay, yeah.
I can't say
What a
anything.
great service
See,
you've had so far.
Dave, this is how the other half live. This is how professional athletes live in it. Oh, it's my first ever car that I've bought and stuff. How
I
old
wasn't
are you
going
now?
to say that.
How old are you now, Ben?
27. Yeah.
27. I'm going to be 29 this year, and oh, God, bloody hell.
To be fair, it's only the
I
same.
can't remember being in my 20s.
It's not our problem, is it?
That sounds like a you
Yeah.
problem.
Sounds like we'll be delivering this from a care home in the near future. This podcast at that rate, if you can't remember it.
No idea, mate. No idea. But we've been mates for 10 years now,
Yeah, long time.
isn't there?
Yeah.
You were still doing a paper round and you were
I never
16.
did a paper round. I did car washing and trying not to scratch people's cars.
Oh, I can't. I don't take
He's
them
from
to-
Oxford.
No. I'm from Winchester.
No,
actually.
Oh, you are
Yeah.
from
We-
Winchester.
We
he's
live
Hampshire
near
boy.
Oxford. We actually
Okay.
live in Bicester, which actually,
It's
judging
too
by the
posh.
people that go to Bicester villages, Bicester.
People that live there do not do paper rounds.
No, that's true.
No.
No, people, yeah.
They don't do. They don't
They
exist.
don't do that
Not
thing, do
from. Not people that are from there. Let's say.
And when he's from Chandler's Ford, it's even more.
Yeah, the
posh.
place I'm from has got an apostrophe in its name, so that's when you know.
Oh,
Chandler's
does that mean it's like
like
Yeah.
posh.
more posh?
Yeah, that's like proper
So,
down.
yeah, I had a green upbringing. These guys used to take the mickey out of me in that respect all the time. And I walked into BSB, I had elbow patches in like 2012, 2013,
He was
doing
the- he
blogging
was
and
the
stuff. I
best
wore elbow
16
patches.
17-year-old geography teacher you've ever
Yeah.
seen.
But I love geography.
Hang on, what?
Yeah.
You're a geography teacher.
No,
he looked
I
like
just
one with
look
his
like
elbow
one.
Oh.
patches. And he's matchel.
Sorry, I'm not with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a
Now-
matchel as well.
Now I
His
wear
leather
like
satchel.
cargo trousers and muddy shoes and a hoodie that's got cat hairs all over it.
Excellent.
Basically, you're making money from motorsport, and it turns out there's not a lot of money in motorsport.
I was just going to say, making money?
And now you like the rest of us.
Yeah.
I think we all get by. I think
Yeah.
that's the one.
Hey, well,
Speak
that's
for
something I'll say. I've said it to you on your podcast before, didn't I? When I did the other episode, it's like, don't let anybody tell you there's no money in motorbike racing. There is somewhere, and some people, if people are making a living from it, they're getting money in motorsport. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. You know,
It's getting there though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you mean it's getting there?
But people,
As in
as in social media and things like that, you've got to be in the right place. And a lot of this
Dave, you
this
said you've
world.
watched racing for 40 years,
I have, yeah.
and it's steadily declined over 40 years. And now you're
Yeah.
telling me it's almost there.
how long- how long is it?
Destination fucked.
Is this 10 minutes into the podcast and we're hitting this kind of brutal topic already? Jesus.
No, in all fairness,
Let's go down there. If anybody has any aspirations to go and work in motorcycle racing,
Great time to go work in it, get in it before we can no longer all travel because travel gets too expensive. Go now, go do it. That's what I would say.
there you go, folks. That's the way forward.
you're not selling it, but anyway. Doing well.
It is a tricky world to be involved
To be fair,
in. You know that as a racer.
Yeah, I mean, on that topic, in all seriousness, I know we're having a joke about it, but it's the sign of the times. You have to think outside the box with what you're doing in life in general, and racing's no exception. You know, you're not just a motorcycle rider anymore. You're a media, social media personality. There's many factors that play a role in being a professional racer, and if you don't fit all of it, then you might not go to the level that you think because of your riding only.
I was fortunate enough last year to do a social media workshop with some Red Bull rookies in Mugello. Just have a very brief chat with them about it. Sort of the guys at Red Bull were very kind enough to let me just have a natter with them because I'm really passionate about the young kids and they're a bit older now because of the age restrictions, but these at the time 14, 15, 16 years old, some of them. And the first thing I said to them was, the first thing that led into it was, guys, I just want you to know ahead of this, the most important thing you do when you're off that bike, off the track, in your entire career is how you tell your story online on social media and you learn how to communicate with others. It is the most important thing. It'll be the difference between you potentially making it to the top and not. So what you say there, I completely believe it.
Do you find though that the social media thing, the kids are too young to process that information and they see their idols and they think, I need to be like them, and it's not authentic, and they start coming across a little bit like an idiot and they ruin their image before it even starts?
Exactly. And when their idols are doing these bullshit captions like day one, tick, tomorrow, trying harder.
Right, I better change my freaking captions.
And then you realise that absolutely every motorcycle racer on the planet's doing that because somebody started.
I thought they were copying me as well. I was like,
there you go.
Trailblazer.
Yeah,
exactly.
I thought everything I do, everyone copies.
Well, you watch now.
Chipping away.
They'll all be on podcast soon, won't they?
Well, podcast the next,
That's it.
So no, it is difficult. What do you do? You're a young motorcycle racer. You're 14, 15 years old. I don't know. You're in whichever talent cup or even at a smaller national level as well. You look at what the top guys in MotoGP are doing. I want to be that, so I'm going to copy them in every way possible.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
I get it. You're 14, 15, figuring out who you are.
Exactly.
Right.
That changes so many times over your career, who you are. You might start off as the angry kid that, has no respect, blah, 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 and you might mature and blossom into a fantastic rider that doesn't quite have the aggression, has tamed that side and becomes a mature, nice, respective person. So it changes.
Is your biography coming out soon? Is that what you're giving us an insight into?
Yeah.
Maturity comes with age, unfortunately.
It's coming. It's a production. It's a line, isn't it? You got to keep it. You got to keep the dream alive somehow.
Yeah,
this is the way. But you do see that, and you wonder how like Sir Scott Ogden and Josh Watley and some of the younger British riders get on, and you see. Like Fabio Quartararo put something out yesterday, was him in some strange get-up, and strange for me. He likes it. He has a great dress sense. Love you, Fabio.
Hey, probably what he's wearing is worth more than every single bit of equipment, every person in this room's salary for a year.
I fully agree.
Do you think that tells a little bit of the story? Like what I'm wearing is because I'm MotoGP champion and I'm a legend.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like that's kind of where we are in the world at the moment? It's like. Well,
there's a bit of that because you look at some of the stuff like Jorge Lorenzo used to wear, these big Diamante jackets from Philip Plein, and you're like, they're $3,500.
Yeah.
But these kids in Moto3, they're not going to wear that kind of stuff. But
they want to.
They want to, yeah, they do, yeah. But if it's not for me, it's not my style. But when you look at what Fabio did yesterday, all he put yesterday was, what am I thinking? And he was just looking off into the distance.
I mean, that's a shit caption, to be honest with you.
Well, I just
pretty poor for
what am I looking for? What am I looking for?
Yeah.
So I just retweeted
not more top speed.
It was funny enough. I retweeted it and put 15 brake horsepower.
I saw that. Brilliant. But do you know what though? In all that, when it all comes down to it, he is doing it perfect because we're talking about him and he's putting those clothes on because he can, and people are going to comment about it. People are either going to go, wow, what a rock star. We need that. We need, what a rock
Lewis
star.
Hamilton, prime example.
Or we need what a dickhead. He looks like an idiot. So people, there's, what do they say? No publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah.
I think it's good for the sport. I think we need more Lewis Hamiltons. We need, if everyone like turns up in their Ducati shirt, team shirt to the track on a Thursday and their black jeans that anyone can buy from H&M or whatever, if they turn up like Lewis Hamilton with like a British bulldog with a green jacket and like spikes coming off his shoes, like,
Yeah,
it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads on
I
to
think it's
Storm
cool.
Stacey.
He's a character.
With Storm, yeah, with his top hat. They're always wearing his top hat, and he said his leather's done in the kind of like the in a suit style,
Like
and
a
he never goes,
tartan.
yeah, never goes anywhere without his top hat, and he is a character.
He's building that character, isn't he?
yeah.
But, and I say this in all due respect to Storm, you have to back it up on track. So eventually it comes to a point, it's like, you're making a lot of noise off the track. And I'm not saying Storm does. Let's talk in general.
No, generally speaking.
You make a lot of noise off track. Guess what? Everyone's queuing up to jump on you when you don't turn up.
Yeah.
And if you spend 2 years not turning up and you're still turning up in a stupid jacket or some fancy shoes, people are going to start swinging towards the negative rather than the positive.
But that's where, so my sort of opinion on those things, that's where there's a very sort of subtle shift which has to take place there, in that he needs to sort of, I don't know Storm and what he does. I recognise the top hat thing, but I don't know anything beyond that. That's where he should be telling his story online, on his social media. He should be talking about the process he's going through in order to get to the top. If you come out with statements like that and you're wearing that and you're going like, yeah, I'm here to fucking dick all over you, everybody, you know, I'm here to
Dick all over you.
whatever. You're being very bold and brash about it, as they can be and whatnot. Yeah, people are going to be on your back. But instead, if you're saying that, like, yeah, this is what I like to dress in because I like to sort of stand out from the crowd, nothing wrong with that. You say, by the way, I'm in the process of, I'm trying to get to the top.
Which
Here's
is
what
what
I
he's
do.
doing, yeah.
Here's what I'm demonstrating in my training. I'm doing everything I can, my effort. I'm trying to get there. But we have to all recognise at the same time, we do have to redefine that success, that the number of people that actually get to the top is very, very little. And not very many people can ever do it in their whole lifetime. But someone talked about it, did an interview with Bautista, talked about it a little bit more later the other day, and he was complaining, I got shafted out of MotoGP after 9 years. Yeah, in place of Fabio Quartararo got the ride that he was going for. And what did Fabio do? Became world champion. Like, sorry, Alvaro, 9 years, you had your chance. Like, you can't bemoan that. But anyways, the point is, if you don't talk about like, yeah, I'm going to do it, you actually change that narrative to, here's what I'm doing to try and do that.
I like it.
That's much better.
That's really cool.
And if people try and get on your back, that's fine. That's up to them. But you can be comfortable in yourself that, no, this is what I'm trying to do. Because everybody else is. Right?
Ben's now formulating a plan to become
That's
British
brilliant.
Supersport champion.
It's actually
and tell
brilliant
the story.
because it's the first time someone's actually explained, like, what's the word, like clarity on the other side of things, where we all know what you need to do, but you can't just wake up one day and go, oh, I'm going to be a legend today. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You That's what Dave says it to himself every morning.
Every morning in the mirror, you are a legend. And then you go outside and you go, what did I come downstairs for?
Have you noticed, so I don't know how much you guys follow Supercross, but Ken Roxon's been doing that a lot this year. He was the first one a few years ago, turned up to A1 Anaheim 1 in a suit, Conor McGregor style and stuff. This was like, I am going to do it. He's had some real hard knocks. So he's like 2 wrist injuries or whatever. But now he's changed to Suzuki. You can see it in his like captions on Instagram. He's talking about the process involved in trying to get there. He's like, I expected more for myself this weekend, or I'm really happy with how I performed this weekend, but just I'm missing that little bit to get it to the actual top and beat Eli, whoever else. There's a very subtle change in his narrative, and I don't know whether he's been working with a psychologist to go through and how to process it better. Maybe that's a reflection of that. Or he's part of the Wasserman agency group. Mate, they've got some very, very intelligent people about marketing. They've recognised this general shift in storytelling of athletes and success and performance worldwide. Maybe they've told him to do that the way, and I think it is the best, you know.
But if that's the narrative that he's telling and people are looking at him with millions of followers and the young kids that are coming through, that's now steering them on a different path rather than, this is what I'm going to be this.
Yeah.
But how are you going to be that?
But
that's
it's knowing that. It's like, you know what I mean? You're telling a story. That's great. Are they believing it? Like, are people buying what you're saying? And like you said, like, I didn't even notice that. I follow Ken on social media, been a big fan my whole life. It's where I started, was motocross and supercross and stuff like that. So that was my passion. And the more you think about it, it's like, yeah, because I remember when he burst onto the scene at A1 in the suit and was kind of like, dude, what are you doing?
But
Like,
it was cool as hell.
it was cool, but it was off the back of McGregor. So I was like, what are you doing? Like, now you're trying to be McGregor because he turned up in a suit to he was the first UFC fighter to turn up in a suit. And everyone was like, whoa. But it was kind of like, it fit because he was successful and he was like worth a lot of money. And it was kind of like, I'm changing the game. And then it was like almost like he's like, oh, that was pretty cool. I might do that. You know what I mean? It looked like that. But now his story is starting to become really believable. And you spotted that. And that's quite clever. And I think
someone who's done that, interestingly enough, your fellow countryman Jet Lawrence is doing something very similar under the same agency. I think I don't know whether Ken is still with Vasselman, but I'm sure like Jet and his brother are. But they've taken it. They haven't copied anybody else, as far as I can see. Anyways, they're just doing it their own way with the donuts and things like this and everything they're getting involved in. The flight plan series he did with Red Bull, where he went and met like Danny Ricciardo, Marc Marquez. That is someone who's doing it completely originally, and stuff like that. So it's an interesting sort of difference, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really interesting, that whole social media. I feel like you could do a whole podcast just on that sort of sense and go through talk about the riders and their different personas, because you've got like, let's talk MotoGP a little bit. Obviously, you've got the Quartararo side of things, but then you've got his absolute probably arch rival right now and probably going to be for the next few years, Bagnaia. It's kind of like I see two different personalities because you've got Bagnaia. Am I saying that right? Bagnaia.
Bagnaia.
He's obviously in the Rossi Academy, and Rossi was one of those, special, what do you call it? Like
characters,
personalities in the championship for so many years. But I don't see that as much in him. It hasn't reflected from.
But do you see that in anybody in MotoGP at the minute?
Marquez is starting to let it out. Have you seen his series? Since he's had his change of management, 100%. It's starting to come out, and that's because Mark II has got the guy's name. I remember his first name is Jaime, but one of his new managers. It was in his private jet on the series. Clearly a very, very clever man and got a great team of people around him to help him out with the marketing and his own message and things like that. And his is changing. You talked about earlier on, what do the young riders look towards and are the people at the top, giving off the correct image and stuff that people can aspire to? Will they mimic what they do? I can't wait to see how the new riders start to mimic the new Marc Marquez, because they were mimicking the old one with the boring captions and the PDF Instagram stories of the results and all that crap, and it was going nowhere. But now you actually start seeing him really promote himself. I'm like, I can't wait for the next 2 to 3 years, because that's going to be changing.
It's an exciting time with all the Amazon documentary and stuff like that being released. I think we're gonna see personalities come out. It's so. I'm episode 4. I get tired when I'm reading the bloody subtitles.
The subtitles
breaks me. I'm not much of a reader, but
it's an incredible thing.
The Marquez thing fascinates me, because what you saw from Marquez on track, like if his riding could speak words, was holy shit. This guy's got the biggest and most outrageous personality purely because of the way he is. When that light goes out, he's a different animal, but he's like ice cool, and he rocks into the garage, doesn't show emotion, doesn't throw anything, no matter how bad it's how much pain he's in, he doesn't show any emotion. And like you said, this is such an exciting time because the new Marquez is coming. He's got his world titles. He's got a point to prove now. And I feel like he's coming back to prove the point with the attitude of, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I'm not here to make friends. No. Like, I never was. But
I'm going to that with how many people came to see him in his motorhome, bless him.
Exactly.
That was telling, wasn't it? Just the guys, Aleix coming in.
And then it was Fabio as well.
And then Fabio came to see him. And
can I just say, I'm the biggest Marquez fan in the world since day one.
Yeah.
Like, incredible rider. And everyone was on that Rossi bandwagon when it was all going on, because, like, I get it. You're a Rossi fan through and through. You can't see Rossi do no wrong. But Marquez, for me, is the GOAT. Like, he is he is the boy.
Into this show, and he's already brought that one out.
He is the GOAT. And when I came into this sport, yeah, but look, that's just we're talking about Marquez, right? I like Casey. But when I started in this sport and started watching MotoGP and stuff, it was a fair way down the line. It was probably like 17, 18 years old. I started watching it and really becoming a fan of MotoGP. And because I was a through and through dirt bike guy, and it's really hard to watch road bikes when you're a through and through dirt bike guy. It's just the reality of it. And Marquez to me stood out so much. I was like, this dude's cool. Like when you go to these tracks, they look like geeks of motorcycle racing because there's nothing going on. Like you want to shake him and go like, the motocross guys are cool. They got their hats backwards. They got the big sunnies on. They got the long shorts, the big shoes. And as a kid, you loved it. You know, you wanted to wear the Dickies shorts and stuff like that. You know, those long cargo shorts and stuff. And now I feel, when I saw Marquez, I thought, the dude can ride a dirt bike. He can ride literally anything that he wants. He can just get on it and swing a leg and be super fast. And I thought, that reflected in his riding. He was so entertaining. He was aggressive. He would just make a pass at will. He was always in the race. He would never quit. And it was awesome. And now, like you said, this new Marquez gives me shivers thinking about it. I'm in love with the guy. I think he's going to be incredible.
This is one of the clips that's going out after this show. Then on YouTube.
It's incredible. Matt's making mental notes of the clip.
Ben professes his love for Mark. And
can I just say, actually, as well, when I broke my back last year and I was in Barcelona hospital for 2 weeks, Leon and the boys ran into him at one of the kart tracks. So I was meant to be doing 2 weeks with him training, and Marquez was there, and he sent me a little get well video.
Oh,
how
nice.
cool.
Yeah.
Broke back,
The
like
coolest
literally
thing.
laying there with a broken back. I was in the worst pain ever, and I felt like I could get up and run. Like it was the best feeling in the world. It was so good.
He's good at that. Is Mark at those sorts of things for other people. He's great with kids. Whenever you see him, you can see that's like his true nature inside of him for the people that he really cares about and young kids and things like that. He sees him. He's got so much candor about him. He's so kind and patient with people. It's really nice. Yeah, and I can imagine him doing that sort of thing to you.
It was incredible.
I love that documentary because it does show that side of him. And they're only half an hour episodes as well, which is always, it's a little bit easier to digest, but I know most people have gone.
You can have a rest from the reading.
Rest from the reading. I wasn't sure what to expect because you see some of these documentaries, especially in motorcycle racing, there was a lot of conversation about the MotoGP documentary from last year, the Amazon version of the Formula One Drive to Survive. It was all right, but I don't think it showed the true characters of the way that it could do. I know that Netflix, I've just started watching season 5 of Drive to Survive, and it's all about the people. It's all about the drama. It's becoming a show on its own.
Yeah.
It's almost moving away from the narrative of telling the Formula One season. It's telling the story of the characters. So Gunter Steiner and people like that are fantastic. They're great value to watch. But watching Mark become the new, like you say, Mark II of Marc Marquez, what he's been through, and when you see the depths that he's been to because of that arm injury, and a lot of people took the piss said, oh, he hurt his arm closing a window, but you realize it was a patio door. So you have this thing like, he opened a window, and he's like, no, it was a patio door, and he was with his arm out, sliding it shut. And the operations that he's been through, and the ability to sit there and go, do you know what? This might be it. How do you accept that? What is he now? Is he 20?
He's 29 already.
29?
Yeah. 30 now, isn't he? Yeah, he
Has he
his
just
birthday
turned
the other
30?
day, yeah.
So at that age of 28, 29 and 30, where Casey decided at 27 that was enough, he'd had his reasons for that. But Mark should, in Valentino Rossi terms, should have another 8 years.
The problem with what I saw with that is something I thought about for quite a while with Marquez, is that he, a little bit like Rossi in a way, he loves motorbike racing so much.
Yeah.
That thing, I've always had this concern for him, and it is a genuine concern. I'm not taking the piss at all, but of like, man, what does Marquez do when his career stops? And then you're thinking, like, in that scenario, if it was so cruelly, abruptly stopped because of this brutal injury, and he didn't even address it really in the documentary. He said, I said to my dad and Jose, my assistant, like, what, my best mate, well, maybe I should just stop. I've won everything. I don't need to anymore. But there was never any mention of, like, did he actually go beyond that point to start to plan what he would do afterwards? Because what the hell does Marc Marquez do after motorcycle racing? I don't. Obviously, there's some things. Yeah, but there were some things in that documentary. Maybe he goes on to do those. But strictly speaking, you tell how much he loves racing. It's everything to him. Fuck, what do you do when that's taken away? And I have a bit of concern for him. I hope he's spent some of the time during his now 3-year long journey, poor sod, to actually figure out what life afterwards could do, because 30 onwards there's a long road to go.
Yeah, it is a long.
Ask Dave.
Yeah,
Dave can't even remember when he was Marquez's age.
He's that far along. He's got no idea what 20-something
I don't even know what day it is anymore. I just knew I had to be here on
It's Friday.
This
Thursday. No,
it's Thursday. It's well, what do you do after racing? But if a lot of the guys, like Valentino, already he put his marker down early before he even finished racing, because Pecco's part of the VR46.
Yeah, he's got all these little
Academy.
franchises. And
Everything's already there, so his retirement fund was in place. But he started that when he was in his early 30s. So Mark wasn't even at that level yet to say, let's start an academy, let's do this. But then people are always going to compare him if he has an MM93 academy, compare it to the VR46 academy. But for a man with that much experience and that much talent and the infrastructure around him to go into the youth racing and to develop the next world champions, because I don't think he has the character. I mean, and I don't think Jorge Lorenzo particularly has the character to do the TV gig, but he does it because it.
Well, he's very popular in Spain for doing it. They love it. He's one of the best things. I see people online talking to DAZN saying like, "Oh my God, get Jorge on more. He's absolutely fantastic."
Excellent. Oh, that's good.
I think he's brilliant.
That's good.
did I see him on some like dancing show or something?
Yeah, he was on The Masked Singer in Spain.
Yes, he was.
Was he singing?
Yeah.
Oh,
He loves a good sing song.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I feel like that guy, if he thinks he can do it, he'll do it, and he doesn't care what you think.
He has. That's the beauty of Jorge Lorenzo. He does not care what other people think. He will just do his own thing.
I had a great story from him when everyone knows that story when I nearly knocked him out the curtain pole.
Do it again. Do it again. Tell it on the podcast.
Okay, long story short on that. I was going to tell a different one though.
Tell both.
That's what
you're here for.
First, so my so the first time I met Jorge, I was when I was social media editor for MotoGP, and I got sent on my first ever trip to anything outside the office was to Andorra to cover the Tissot sponsored event of Lorenzo going riding with the Movistar cycling team. The Tour de France was coming through Andorra, and so first met Jorge there and sort of introduced myself as I work in MotoGP social media. I was wearing a Dorna uniform, things like this. It was very official. I clearly wasn't a fan. I said, "Hey, could you take my phone and do a selfie video, just posing with the camera with the mountains in the background to say like, we're here in Andorra." He's like, "Can you just take a selfie photo of you in the background there?" I sort of tried to explain it very clearly. His assistant was there, who's Artur, who's now communications manager at Ducati and MotoGP. And Jorge just took my phone, put his arm around me and took a photo of us. thinking I was just a fan. I went, "Oh, no, I need you to take a photo of yourself." And he just did not get that I wanted to take a photo of himself and stuff because he's so used to fans coming up through. So it was that. And then my second real encounter with him was then he was doing he had broken whatever he had when he was riding for Ducati in 2017 at Aragon. Next race was in Japan, and he was doing FP4 commentary with Bertie and Steve Day at the time on the MotoGP World feed. And I was asked, "Can you go into the commentary box, get some social media clips and videos of him talking? We'll put it on our Instagram story." And as I tried to move back behind the sound curtain to make the sound make it a little less echoey, I stepped on it and it nearly fell on his head. And the panicked face that I pulled there on the freeze frames is quite a picture. Because also, he was meant to come back in the next race. And so I thought, "Oh, Christ, I give him a concussion. He can't race."
7-day concussion.
I was never been more packed. So then I got a message from the Stephen Bertie could not mention it on commentary, and I got a couple of messages like, "What did you do?" And then the video footage came out. So.
Did the whole set fall down or something?
It was just literally a curtain pole across the back, really heavy one with the sound curtain. It was pressed against you using tension against either side of the wall, and I just stepped on it and it went gzunk. Juggling it and things, yeah. So those are my interactions with Jorge. But now he, every time he sees me in the paddock, he hugs me like I'm an old friend. And I say, "Hey, look, it's my favourite Spanish commentator," and stuff. And but he still doesn't know my name. But that's my relationship.
Because he doesn't
your
need
best
to.
buddies.
No, yeah. So we're just good mates.
I like that. Where do you see the future of social media going? The conversation we just had is quite
Lord.
Is quite eye-opening, especially as you were saying, Ben, about finding the narrative and finding how to tell the story and tell the story right. Are we going to reach a point where everything's been explored? Or
well, everything already has been explored.
Reach a nadir to whatever.
Nothing's original anymore. This podcast, you got a nice co-host, a super fan, you got a rider. It's not original anymore. Everyone's been and done it and got a t-shirt already. What's different is your...
Okay, thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks for watching. What is the difference is your own personal experiences and takes. Like the setup of everything, it's all been done. Human history repeats itself over and over again, but it's your individual and personal takes. Some stuff, there's always like big reports of like digital trends of 2023, which I always look over in the winter. Generally, I try and get a feel of what I think is happening in outside of motorcycle racing in social media. And then this year, working for a few extra clients and stuff, I had to really look into it, some like official reports and seemingly all corporate, and look at PDFs and stuff. Go ahead, Ben.
I got a question.
Yeah.
And it's just popped into my head. It hasn't been explored, everything. Because we haven't had MotoGP riders doing boxing matches yet.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Boxing matches.
Well, no, technically they do it in Thailand. They do they have the Thai boxing thing outside, and a few riders get involved, but not proper boxing.
Like,
matches.
why isn't this being televised? That's anyway. Go on. Sorry,
Paddock beef.
That's a good idea, actually.
Why aren't we doing these events? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got street beef.
Amazing.
Yeah, look, Mark, we all heard what you said about Pol Espargaro in your documentary, right? Right, you two in the ring, go have it out, sort it.
Do you not think
touchy?
Do you not think that was? Sorry to
go on
a different way. Do you not think that was worthy? Because he comes across as a bit.
I think he's just.
I don't know the guy.
He's been in a tough time. He's having a tough time, isn't he?
Paul?
Yeah.
I mean,
and it reflects.
You're a motorbike racer. Like,
we all have tough times.
Yeah. And also, it's not as if it's the most like selfless sport in the world, is it? Like, a lot of the guys at the top like have very, very selfish traits, and like Paul has been beaten by Mark his whole life in a way.
Literally.
And I don't say that in derogatory. I really like Paul. We gave a podcast with us on the MotoGP podcast a few years ago. He was awesome. He was so nice. He turned up on time, and
which is impressive.
And he gave us the waters and the camera guys. He went and got in waters for everybody. He's a really nice guy. But
that's the side that we don't see. So I can only take it from what you see. I mean, he's at work. Don't get me wrong. He's got a job to do.
I don't judge someone from an Amazon documentary, most certainly, but I think the reality is people like judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? You only have to paint a picture, and then that's it. That's what people think. But it's obviously the sport lends itself to rivalries, and because it's not an individual sport, but it is at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're trying to have what I want, or vice versa. You're trying to take something from me, so you've got to have your guard up, because there can only be one winner on the track. I know it's a team thing, and I know like teammates, they get on and they work together and that, but they really don't. They don't really, because
there's always going to be a way of
there's always something. And I've helped teammates in the past, and it killed me, because I wasn't in the position. But you do what's right for the team and for your job in the future. But the reality is, you're sitting opposite him and thinking, "Fuck, I want to beat you so bad."
Yeah, of course.
That's just the reality.
You wouldn't have won that if it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. What did I do for you to help you sit there with all the glory?
Yeah, where's my thank you, bitch?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I get it. It's not. I don't think. I don't quite agree when some people use such extreme words. It's like, top elite and level athletes are sociopaths and psychopaths. Like, there's some people do say things like it's quite extreme, but no, there is inherent, if you pick apart what is an actual psychopath, some like psychological level and traits that these people display, the selfishness, the determination, the do this at all costs. Like, yeah, it's real. They're not going to like actually put you into a wall and kill you.
Yeah,
no.
But like, you want to be the best that you can be.
But let's get it real. It's professional sport. There is a winner and there is technically a loser. Like, it's not nice.
Yeah, you've got to have some wires crossed, haven't you?
Yeah.
There's some wires that are crossed. Like, you can argue the fact that the people that, like Espargaro, who goes out on Monday after a MotoGP race and does 250 kilometers on his bike, and a good example in World Tour by Alex Lowe's, fittest on grid. He'll go to the gym, just smash himself to bits for 7 days because he's had a bad weekend, but there's obviously something there, but that's also makes the quality of the rider and what makes them good in the sport. It doesn't mean they're a psychopath or
no,
because they're human as well.
Of course they are. It's the determination more than anything.
It's like Paul doesn't have to go and say anything to Mark, because actually motorcycle racing is not very nice, and they have quite a bitter, long-standing rivalry. And they might go, "Oh no, it's not bitter." No, it is, mate. Mark's beaten you your entire life. He is, but it's also good news for you. He's also beaten everybody else's entire life. It's not personal, mate. You're just a number that he's picked off.
It's like your best mate going away with your missus.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you say, ta-da, enjoy.
It's like,
Enjoy that, you know what I mean?
yeah, he's not gonna come and say. I think it's one of my workmates message saying, yeah, I don't quite think after everything Paul and Mark have been through that Paul's going to go, all right, have a great time in Minnesota, mate. Enjoy. See you when you get back.
Make sure you get that arm fixed.
Yeah. Good luck.
Can't wait to be beaten by you again.
He's probably thinking like, fuck, if he comes back and he's out for the count, maybe I have more of a chance. Like, come on. But anyway, should we talk a bit more about social media and where it's going?
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, so things that are happening sort of online. This people. One of the coolest and biggest turning points in recent years was when in Birmingham city centre, the whole city got shut down because somebody that nobody knew of had so many people come to visit him and his opening of a store or a makeup line, whatever it was, that was the event there. He completely closed down the city centre for hours, yet nobody knew who he was. It was a guy called James Charles, this makeup YouTuber. And however many tens of millions of subscribers on YouTube.
Massive in the US.
Yeah.
And by nobody, he means fat enough.
No.
Matt's covering up that he doesn't watch makeup.
Josie's just explaining who.
I want to say I said that for effect. I said that for effect, as in that was the headlines that came out. So they said, "How does someone that nobody knows who they is shut down?" I think it's because it's like niche, markets. Like James Charles is one of the biggest celebrities online, or was at that point, etc. Through his
bigger than Jeffree Star.
No, they were competitors at one point, weren't they? That level, yeah. So he had millions of followers all throughout. It was launched like a makeup line, but all the radio DJs and stuff are going like, I've never heard of James Charles. And it's like, oh, he has 10 million subscribers on YouTube. And it's like, yeah. And out of those 10 million people, say 2 million of those are from the UK. You can bet your bottom dollar that 1.5 million of those people are going to be doing everything they can to go and see him. Yeah. And so that's the thing. It's these niche communities. Community is now the new. It was authenticity was the latest buzzword in marketing the last few years. Now it's community. But actually, what building a community is, it's like building a real small group of people, 1,000 to 2,000 people who really care about the content you put out, and they will pay whatever it is, up to £100 a year, bada bing, bada boom, that goes to 100,000 gross revenue before any expenses, that kind of thing, right? That's how you sort of look at it. That's what gone are the days of, so my podcast gets 1.2 million impressions per episode. An impression is when you get your phone out, and the video viewers of this podcast see it better. If you're scrolling through your homepage down your Twitter screen, you're giving an impression, even if you've not actually read a single word of that tweet. What actually now matters is those actual metrics on it, the like button, a qualitative response, a comment, and then even more so sharing it on Instagram to a mate. You can actually see that now. It's giving you the analytics, and the save button that looks like a little pin flag.
Bookmark.
Bookmark. That's what I was looking for. Those are the metrics that are now mattering. And so, but what's going to happen is you're going to see all these companies and people pitching for sponsorship deals. And instead of being like, so you need to sponsor our podcast, we have 1.8 million impressions a month on Twitter and everything like this. That's why you need to get behind us. Instead, you're going to say, we have 7,000 downloads an episode or 10,000 downloads a month. But the good news is we have those people's attention for a full hour every week. That's why you need to pay this amount, which previously they paid the same amount because of 1.8 million impressions, which actually meant that nobody saw their advert at all.
So the number is like scary different, but means more.
Far more effective.
That's the shift. And so the more proactive and companies will be the ones going like, 7,000 downloads a week. Bloody hell, yeah, that's great. So we'll sign up. Yeah, we'll pay that. The other ones will be like, well, we have 2 million reach on our Instagram account. Oh, how many likes do you get per post? 250. Well, so those 1.5 million people don't give a damn about what you put out, do they? So that's what's going to be changing. A bit of Josie, my much better half, especially in social media, she sort of reels me back in of some of my stronger opinions. So we've sort of been thinking about a few pitches for different clients and stuff at the start of this year, and I've always gone like, well, I should pitch them a podcast. And she goes, no, not everything is a podcast. Like, I don't like listening to podcasts. I would prefer to read a long form interview actually. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough.
You're weird.
Coming from the man who can't read.
Who doesn't read subtitles on a half-hour show.
Go easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's someone who actually does write for a living and stuff. So that's the kind of thing. So like long form content will come out a lot more, and we'll be focusing on much smaller numbers that actually mean that you actually have someone's attention. You actually the meaning of influencer is no longer someone who goes into here we are in JNS Accessories Motorcycle Superstore and goes, hello, I have 100,000 Instagram followers, please. I want these knee sliders for free. You know, it's actually someone who comes in and goes like, hey, I'd actually really love to do some product evaluation YouTube videos, like how to put knee sliders on and off properly to my 100,000 subscribers or something like that. I get 50,000 views a video. Most of those watch it most of the way through. Do you think there's some way we can work together on this? And then they go, here's this, take all of our money.
Because it's mutually beneficial.
Exactly. That's what actually matters, not someone with 100,000 Instagram followers for smiling at a photo.
So that's kind of where it gets sticky now, because we have that, we have that sort of stigma. Is that the right word? I like losing big words, but on social media where some, influencers, let's say, they're classed as influencers because, like you say, their following is 1.1 million or 220,000, big number, whatever. But then it's potentially some woman dressing half naked on camera and getting all these photos, and it's all these creeps at home pressing like and follow because it's a good looking woman, which I've got nothing wrong with.
No.
And that's
if you've got it, then
and that's a totally legitimate carear path. Then
they walk into JNS and say, "Oh, I like motorbikes. I've got 1.1 million followers.
Yeah.
Give me a motorbike." And I'll advertise it for you. It's like, but you've got 1.1 million follers because you're a good-looking girl.
To be fair, if for several of those blokes then are really in love with that woman, or bloke or whatever, whichever way around it is,
absolutely.
And then they go and then because they're so enamored by that person, they might still actually go and buy a motorcycle to try and be close to them, like tag them in their posts, like, look, I ride motorbikes too.
As well.
You want to go and ride sometime?
Yeah.
So what I find even worse is the people who still in these days buy Instagram followers, and it's ridiculous. People who buy Instagram followers these days, there's a couple of people in the motorcycle industry and a couple of brands and news outlets.
Really?
I'm not going to name them, but people have very clearly bought Instagram followers.
Really?
How do you tell? Well, you've got like 100,000 Instagram followers or like 20 or 30 or 40,000. You go on their likes and they've got about 100 people liking it. You've bought your followers. What are you like? And then they're the ones who think that they actually have an audience.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's 2023, guys. That was 2013. Like, what are you doing? That was ridiculous. Like, the first thing ever, if I ever took over and, we have a client who's like, oh, can you run our social media for them? And like, my God, no, don't buy followers.
Never an option.
Sake.
Yeah. But after what you said there, that really does back up how important it is to our listeners and followers on social media to hit the like button, to click the bookmark, and to subscribe. It's about that engagement.
And
you got to hit the bell.
Get the bell.
Hit the bell.
Ding.
I missed the bell.
Which is the bell?
Page.
Is it?
Don't press buttons, Dave. You know what happened last time when you press the buttons. There
Ding.
it is. Hit the bell. God damn it.
Go on, press it more than once.
How much did you spend on this tiny contraption that just allows you to do a ding every now and then on a podcast once every several million episodes?
It's the quality of the audio that's more important.
That's fair enough. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
the quality of the audio is incredible.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those.
Yes, he had to remortgage his house.
But yes, I had to remortgage my house to do it. But it also, don't forget, we've got the merchandise as well, which we are currently modelling by myself and Ben, which will be available online shortly through HMY Customs.
We are good models.
It does look very high quality. I do say that without wearing some and not having been given any at any point. But I must admit, it looks very high quality.
Do you want one or something?
Mate, these are samples. There will be custom made ones for staff.
Yeah, I've only
coming
just
shortly.
got one.
I've only brought that one. That's the one that they
and
don't
I'll probably have to give it back to him when I leave.
Because, that's the one that's embroidered.
See?
Rather than screen printed.
Oh, right, okay.
So the new ones will be coming. They're all screen printed that we're doing.
Fair dues.
But yes, every member of staff will have their own.
Brilliant.
Can I just say, while we're on this topic, Matt, you're a part of the podcast now, right? You're behind the scenes. You didn't want to sit on the podcast today, but it's been a great addition to the podcast, might I add.
Thank you. We've all those effort in those subscribers we built up have now left.
Personally, I think it will be great for the listeners as well, because this is completely different sort of topics that we're talking. We're not just talking about motorcycle racing and riding on track. Where do you see the podcast going? What's next for our podcast? What do you think we should be doing?
I think we need a break at some point from weekly. That would be the first thing I say. Give yourselves a rest. But this is.
I thought you meant let's just call it a day.
No,
like you're breaking up with a girl.
I wanted to say it.
It's not you, it's me.
We were on a break.
I'm going on another podcast.
So no. That's what I want to say, just to mess you around. No,
Back to Motorpod.
I think something, I think what would be a really great thing sort of for the future is we sort of work in a series format, and we work on, let's do a small series of episodes on around a given topic. We talk to different people who can talk about a similar topic and give different perspectives for like 5 episodes. We can take a couple of weeks off and go away, because I don't think the listeners will actually go away. I think they'll stick around and stuff like that, and we post more than enough content. And I think we're going to be posting a lot more on YouTube. That's what we've already been trying to make the shift to. All on one channel. I've worked on a previous podcast too, and if I could go back, I wouldn't. There was 2 separate channels for the full episodes and then the extra content, your clips and things like that, and highlights. I think the best way forward is we'll keep it staggered. We won't overload people's YouTube pages, but we'll keep clips on one singular page. And I just would like to see us actually interview some just bigger and bigger names as it goes on, really. That would be really cool. And just getting some, and then also highlight some people who are perhaps more under-celebrated, as you've been so good at doing thus far, basically.
Thank you, mate.
What do you reckon our magic number is before we start venturing into the world of MotoGP, and we can start using your contacts?
I can get you a contact with Jorge Lorenzo, maybe. He might have no idea what my name is, or he still doesn't answer.
But he'll come for sure.
Yeah, maybe. If there's no sound curtains in here, so he might. Yeah,
he'll be safe.
Yeah, he'll be safe. But yeah, I don't know about magic numbers, but you can start putting feelers out and things like that to things. I think we got some good connections with some Moto 2 level riders coming for the year and stuff like that. So,
we have, yeah.
Mind you, I mean, you don't even need me to have a connection with a Moto 2 rider. We won't get onto that in detail, but
move on.
Touchy one.
No, it's not a touchy one at all. No, far from it.
We just like to respect people's privacy.
We do.
Like
because no, I'm joking. I won't say.
That's me.
Good luck for the season, Rory.
Yeah. Anyways,
but there's all sorts of ways. I mean, I think we're in it for the long run. That's the important thing. Is that we're growing step by step, as we already have done. We're nearly at 4,000 hours of watch content on the show, which is fantastic. We're halfway to the magic 1,000 subscribers, where YouTube becomes our friend and opens up more opportunities.
Quite well, hasn't it?
In the last 28 days, yeah, it's gone really well. Because of the content we've put out and how we've done it for the collective that we are, I'm absolutely over the moon with it. And it's not one of those where you look at it and you go, oh, we've only got that many. It's like, yeah, this is good. It's going the right way. Nobody's, before Matt came on, nobody's unsubscribing.
It's a work in progress, isn't it? This is not the finished article.
No.
This is not.
Near.
This is, we've got visions, we've got plans. We've got to do it.
As we said on the first show that we did here when you flew back from Oz, that we're kicking the MD out of his office. He has gone. He's out of his office. He's in this building now at J&S at Oakmere. And then in the next week or so, plans can then begin on the studio and we can have a proper setup and everything. It's walk in, plug and play. We're going to have the nicely decorated. We're still not sure on what we're going to do with regards to the setup, whether it's going to be sofas like this, whether it's going to be a bench or table.
Question for the people.
Breakfast bar. Yeah, what do you want to see? How do you want us to look?
And if anyone out there can build studios,
give us
preferably for free.
Yeah, for free.
That would be lovely.
But also for a shout on the podcast. And they can even come on the podcast if they want, if they're into motorcycle racing.
There's plenty of people who
you're not available every week.
There are people around who are sticking around for the full shows and things like that. So there are enough listeners coming in that it's sort of worthwhile.
Have you got them numbers then? Have you?
Not yet. I haven't. Dave needs to pass them to me.
Okay.
Oh, I can send them to you, mate.
Yeah, we can work it out.
Yeah, I've got them on my phone here.
What is that phone? Did you dig that up from a prehistoric Jurassic Park? Like
what?
Thing?
Is that one of them Chinese ones?
Ultra.
Oh, it's Android.
Yeah. See, people that you got to watch these.
Here we go.
You've got to watch these.
I need a sound. I need a sound effects on there for a sheep.
You say that sheep, but there's 2 phones in the world, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a Samsung and there's an iPhone.
Yeah.
So you're 50% of the population as well.
It's right. My opinion matters.
But like, why? Anyway, moving on.
I always have.
We'll move on.
I've never, in my whole life,
taking the mic.
of my advanced years, ever had an iPhone. Ever.
Good, you're not indoctrinated into the corporate machine.
It's all making sense.
Yeah.
I like flexibility in my phone.
That's why you come downstairs and you go, what was I coming downstairs for?
Whereas an iPhone would have told me.
Yeah.
Also, there's really good things called watches that tell you that sort of thing too these days. Wow, look at that, that's fancy.
I also have a Jennifer that tells me as well. Did you do this? No. Do you think you ought to? Yeah, probably.
Stop procrastinating.
Oh,
She did inform me that I'm to let her know if you need to kick up the bum occasionally. So yeah.
see, I can't
Funny enough,
remember
she told me
what
that as well.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you, darling.
Anyways. Anyway.
We're recording this on a Thursday. Does your Apple Watch tell you it's Thursday?
This is my Garmin watch, and it does. It says it's Thursday, the 2nd of March.
Garmin Watch. That's like Tour de France level shit, that.
Are you doing timeline
Good
stuff
man.
right now?
Timeline stuff for...
As in future and present events?
Yeah, just letting the listeners and the viewers know we're recording this on Thursday, so we haven't had the World Superbike round at Mandalika yet.
Yes.
Because we were going to have a bit.
We need to have a chat about World
we need to-
Superbike,
yeah,
don't we?
we need
It's
to- we need
it's
to
the
talk about
first
that.
motorcycle race that's kicked off in 2023.
Motorcycles going round in circles.
Amazing.
At last.
Finally.
At last.
And it's only taken the viewers
1 hour.
An
1 hour to
get
talk
to
about
it.
motorbikes.
But the beauty of this is, and I'm a big fan of this, on a previous show I used to do, we go through the results of what happened and who was wearing qualifying and who was... The guys and girls know that. They've already
Spoiler
watched
alert.
it. Spoiler
Ducati won everything.
Spoiler
There were-
alert,
there were
6
geese
days
involved.
later.
Yeah.
It's Phillip
Geese were
Island.
involved and Ducati won everything.
Yeah.
Rain, hail, or shine,
Yeah.
might
But
I add.
What we have to do is also the one thing that that I've noticed over the years with the MotoGP coverage, the ornithological angle has increased tenfold.
Can you explain that for the...
Birds.
Oh, okay.
The feathered,
The feathered
friends.
variety of the birds, because we have a ornithological expert as well as social media.
But to be
with us.
fair,
I've got a
maybe
good
this-
solution for them. Apparently, we can't do that. So we have to usher them off. We have to red flag races
Oh.
and we have to usher them off the
So
track.
I've seen so talking about the bird thing there, and then this and the issue with it, obviously in motorbike racing with the Phillip Island, they stopped the race. So normally when you come to see people online talking about the normal measures that airports take, you get blanks, rifles, and things like that, and they also use birds of prey, which is why I love birds. That's my background and stuff, is obsessed with birds and all that. Basically, what they do in other places, they have like a Harris hawk or something like that, a moderately sized bird of prey, and they just fly it around and do that. You can't really do that on a motorcycle race, on a live motorcycle track, strictly speaking, because unfortunately you might end up with having to stop the race because someone's hit Harris hawk, I think.
Or being hit by a flare.
Yeah, and but the thing is, that maybe I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know the logistics of Phillip Island properly and different areas of it.
Well,
but
it's a
maybe-
protected space, isn't it?
Yeah, but I know also in Australia, falconry and the art of actual pest control using birds of prey has also been a very contentious topic over the years, and I don't think there's the same laws covering falconry and bird of prey husbandry as there are in, like, for example, the UK or the US. You can't. I think it's a lot harder for someone to own a bird of prey to actually do pest control. So I think that's part of the problem, but I'm not sure. I wonder, obviously the government's involved, so there's got to be solutions somehow other than just stopping races. But unfortunately, like, well, what are you going to do with a bird? what are you going to do with a protected bird species? Like, come on, guys, it's
I only want to knock him out.
Yeah, we'll use rubber mallets or something.
Just at the
Maybe-
start.
And then
You could just
relocate
really
them.
overfeed them for the few weeks prior, and then they can't.
Too
you know.
heavy.
Yeah,
Move.
exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
World
That's-
Superbike,
yeah, anyway,
Phillip
back to-
Island racing was fantastic.
It was. Who's going to stop Alvaro Bautista? Because it looks really
Well,
ominous from the
you
Ducati
say
perspective.
that, but I mean, this is good for someone. I saw the results and things. I didn't.
I love
didn't
Matt. He's
watch
like
it,
the
but-
antithesis
No,
of
come on,
everything.
you say that, but what are the statistics?
I didn't
The
watch it. I just
person-
know everything that happened. Is that good?
If that's not a commentator, I don't know what is.
Because that's my
Right.
job, right?
I've got to say that the only contentious point about it is that the person who won most at Phillip Island, or the championship leader at Phillip Island, historically speaking, does not win the championship. However, our Ducati is amazing. Bautista on it is amazing. Maybe this will buck the trend.
Bearing in mind it was the world champion from last
That's a
year.
great point, isn't it?
Yeah, but like,
Because it's an oddball round. People forget that it sort of springs an odd, a curveball result where
but
someone,
we're not talking Michel Fabrizio. We're talking Alvaro Bautista,
the reigning world champion. Yeah,
I
it speaks
think
for
this
itself.
is where
it's totally understandable. Yeah,
But
I'm just being devil's advocate.
in the same and brilliant, because
Beautifully.
we don't do that enough.
No, we
but in the same breath, that's got to be super worrying for everyone else. That
I think so.
Bautista turns up, does a triple, at a track that could spring an oddball result.
in both conditions as well, in wet
In
and
the
dry.
wet, he looks insane. Johnny had no answer. I know Johnny had a problem in the wet race and was struggling with his shift, but I still think it's going to be tough for him this year. I really do think. And I think while we're talking about Johnny and that wet race, that was his only chance to get a good result that weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got second. Great. But does that show where Kawasaki's at the moment?
You'll know more than that. You speak to Alex.
Worrying sign. And, I fear for Alex and Johnny in that sense, but both incredible riders. And I know they'll pull out results. They will pull out results. But what they'll do is they'll make that bike look a little bit better than it is, because at the minute it's like when you look at Alex and Johnny, who else is there on a Kawasaki?
Nobody.
Like nobody.
Well, Tom had an
not even
disaster.
close. Not even close.
Did he even finish? In fact, he pulled in all
He pulled
three
in
races,
on one.
I think.
Yeah, look, it's worrying times for
hard.
Kawasaki for sure. Worrying times.
What about BMW?
Also worrying ish.
I think
you're hungry.
I'm not going to get too worried. I'm not going to get too worried yet, purely because of the Phillip Island thing. Last year, all of a sudden they started to get some momentum and they started to look fantastic. They went to Phillip Island and all their problems came back, and it was disaster. And if you listen to Redding's analogy on how the weekend, you may as well pack up and go home now. But that's obviously not the true reflection of what's going on. I think
He's also not allowed to do that anymore.
Oh, right, okay. But my point,
Exactly.
it's emotional.
Slightly too honest.
It's an emotional point of view from a rider that just wants the best and deserves the best, the work he puts in and the quality of the rider, by the way.
No question.
So I think we're going to see podiums from most of the manufacturers, if not all of them. It's who's going to be consistently there every weekend. Ducati, 1,000,000%, both Ducatis. Rinaldi hasn't got an answer for Bautista, but he'll be there purely because his machine is fantastic. You got the privateer Ducatis, they're going to be there.
Axel Bassani.
Fantastic rider. So, yeah, look, the only one we sort of haven't really touched base on is the Yamaha show at the moment. We've got 4 quality Yamaha riders. We've got the reigning World Supersport champion stepping up into World Superbike. Absolute incredible show for his first weekend.
At the weekend.
So putting it on the front row of the grid. Absolutely giving it to Top Rack, Locatelli, the factory boys. And then you've got Gardner, who's right on his heels as well. First sort of weekend in World Superbike.
A lot of pressure for his home round as well.
Oh yeah, massive.
I don't think so.
But not just for home round. I mean, Remy's got a point to prove. Like what happened to him in MotoGP last year is really it's
brutal.
Poor
It
guy.
is.
And
he's got a point to prove.
One season and that's
But
it.
he shouldn't feel any sort of pressure just now. He's stepped on a Yamaha. He's not expected to win that World Championship this year. You cannot think you're going to come into World Superbike where it is at the moment.
No, I only meant from his home round perspective.
He'll put self-pressure and stuff, but in the same sense, I know how a rider would be thinking. He'd be excited about the opportunity at Phillip Island. What he did on the weekend was absolutely perfect, apart from taking out his teammate. But that's another.
It happens.
Yeah.
I think that's perfect. That's the approach that he needs to take all weekend. I think he'll only get better when he goes to Europe. Personally,
Remy, and as soon as I don't know whether I haven't. I used to speak to Remy a few times because when he was in his down dark days. When we were doing Moto2 coverage, I'd still have to go interview him because of the Australian broadcast. So I got to know him relatively well. And I did say to him before he left, I went, dude, the thing that everybody says about superbikes going over there is, you don't want this 21 race calendar. Go and enjoy your 13, 14 rounds and have a good time and be on an amazing bike and a team that will be absolutely pumped that you're here. No offense to KTM. That just clearly wasn't the case, right? So go and enjoy yourself. And he was like, oh yeah, I don't know, yeah. And it's, he said that quite publicly as well. He wasn't, but I hope he's already starting to feel like, Phillip Island, home round, got to see some family maybe, didn't do too bad.
His attitude might be changing.
Yeah, 12 rounds left. Blimey, got time to play with my cars.
Was it a negative attitude when he was coming?
He was just very...
Not negative, but like a little bit like, I'm leaving MotoGP.
It's difficult paddock to leave, isn't it? When you're in there, it's a difficult paddock.
When I spoke to, because we were doing a small documentary series about the Americans at the end of his World Championship winning year. So I did interviews with him because the angle was sort of like, here's what the Americans are trying to do in Moto2. Here it is from the people who are making it work. So we spoke to Remy, Raul and Bez, and also Sam Lowe's as well, and some of his wins that he's had, just to get an idea of like, here's what it actually takes to win. And Remy just, towards the end of the season, he loved it when he won, but during the course of the season, even Misano time, when it was getting close to him actually winning the championship, said like, oh, you must be so buzzed about winning something. But no, the big reward comes next week when he was trying the KTM, MotoGP KTM for the first time. He was so excited, having come from the depths of his career that he had in Moto2, to then, I'm Moto2 world champion and now I'm a MotoGP rider. I've actually got the confidence. I'm world champion. I've made it here the hard way, not just through his dad at all in any way, shape or form. And then he didn't even get like 5 rounds. He was already quite clear that he's already out by Le Mans. Like what? He would have been absolutely crestfallen. This is quite well documented. And it's like, so no, whether it's, I didn't see it reflected in, it's not something to say derogatorily about World Superbikes. Of course, you're going to be absolutely gutted that you're out of your dream opportunity in that first year.
Well, that whole KTM and Tech 3 thing was brutal completely. Ralph Fernandez didn't want to be there. Remy, he was already what's
going on? Like, what was going on that year? Why was it as bad as it was?
Last year with the KTM and stuff? Well, Raul didn't want to go to KTM in MotoGP. But they forced
the contract.
Because hey,
so there was already bad taste.
Yeah, we know how good you are, and he was like, "Oh, I don't want to go on your bike." And he's like, "Well, if we can't have you, nobody's having you, so we're having you." That sort of thing. That's basically how it kind of went down long and short. And but he just clearly didn't want to be there. But then he sort of used them and said, right, well, if you're making me do this, then my brother's having a top seat in a KTM team as well. And as he should. I think Raul played it great, and stuff like that. And then you watch how he does in the Aprilia this year. I think, well, lots of people think he's going to absolutely fly. I don't profess
he's
to know
a talent
enough. He's clearly very, very talented, isn't he?
He's a future guy that is it's got legs that is going to be there for a while. I think you watch him against Gardner and it was almost like a little bit like he's going to win the world championship, I think.
But Remy outfoxed him because he's clever
I think the crash in Misano kind of was like the nail in the coffin, wasn't it? But then I used to watch him on the weekend and think, wow, like this kid, it reminded me a little bit of the Marquez thing when you used to watch him in Moto2 and think, he's special.
But watching him in Moto3, he didn't win an awful lot of races. You knew there was something about him, and he'd always been in the shadow of Pedro, because everybody's like, Pedro Acosta, he's the next guy. But I've looked at Raul before, and it's like, there's something about that kid. He is special.
Quietly.
Yeah, that's exactly that. Quietly goes about his business.
In his Moto3 races, when he was at Io, he already took quite a brutal and savage decision to leave. He really wanted to leave Aspar because he didn't think he could win the championship with them. The seat opened up at Io the next year, so he was like, I want to go there. And I know there's no real love lost between the team around there since that. And because he was junior world champion with the Aspar squad, and then he leaves them. They don't win the championship with him. He goes to Io. He couldn't get the wins at first because he would get pole position. He got however many pole positions in a year, like 5, 6, even more maybe. He'd clear off at the beginning, but then because he was quite heavy, he sort of burned his tyres or whatever else and faded towards the end of the race. But then he finally cracked it at the end of the year. And I love that because I love it when the tall riders go, I'm too tall for the Moto3 class. Yeah, Gian Antonio said it too. And it's like, but you just won last week.
Yeah.
Like, you're not then, are you? It's just like...
That's back to the Scott Redding thing, really. Isn't it? The weight limits and the tall riders. Just finishing off on that World Superbike, I feel like I'm the host. I may as well be the host anyway.
You can be. But it's allowed.
I'm only joking. The World Superbike, who do you guys think is going to win World Superbike this year?
Oh, bloody round one. What are you doing?
Well,
Bautista.
Can I I mean, it's a pretty simple.
It is. It's going to be very, very difficult to beat Alvaro
Is
Bautista.
it going to... That was
you're going to have that consistency to beat him over
it's done.
half of the rounds.
Yeah, it's done. He's won the World Championship for sure. But
that's the second clip. So the first clip is Ben professing his love for Marquez, and then the second one is announcing Alvaro Bautista.
I'm just doing the corporate thing for Ducati. Don't snip that bit out. If you're going to snip it, make sure you cut that bit. No,
we hadn't even picked up.
No, in all seriousness, it's
Ducati mounted. Ben Currie says,
yeah, exactly. Don't listen to me. Basically,
like, if Buliga gets injured this year, can I step in?
Ducati going to win World Supersport as well because
no. Come on.
Oh,
Oh,
Not necessarily.
You realise you're building yourself as a co-host for this as well. The
No.
listeners are going to love this.
Not
But can I-
necessarily is my opinion.
No,
on that,
no. You run with how you delivered that. No.
Yeah.
You're
Back it up,
so
boy.
sure.
Back it up.
I'm not so
Don't
sure.
sit on the fence now.
Back
Give us
yourself
your
up. Come on.
opinion. Come on.
Booliger has had a rough road
He has.
in his career. That was the original. This is the next Rossi. He won the Junior World Championship Moto 3 class with the Rossi fonted 46 on his bloody bike. He was the next thing, and he did sweet F-all for a variety of reasons. I'm not saying like because he's crap, whatever. I don't like those opinions of riders. I don't like to say that about people. If you're a World Championship level, the circumstances that are a difference between you're a podium top 6 winner is your circumstances around the rest of your life, not because you're shit.
I go on the basis of they're all faster than me.
Yeah.
It's not for me to say.
Booliger is an unbelievably talented rider, but I don't know / don't think, given what he's been through in his career, all those knocks, from all that hype, he can do it over a season.
Surely that builds a robust and ready to now. He's got the opportunity to take it
now to go. Actually, fuck it, I'm going to show him.
But it's been like 6-7 years, and it's like that is enduring.
But why not? He's finally dominating.
He could surprise me. And if he does, I will be the first person being like, yes, because he is so nice. Some of the social clips we used to record with him, he is another one. He was on time. He would stand with his hands behind his back, sort of listen to me, stood to attention, ready to hear what his instructions were, and he'd do it. His English was terrible, but he'd do it.
On the good ship, Captain Matt.
Yeah. But he was so nice.
I thought you were going to curve a lot of your answers today.
What do you mean?
As in the position that you're in, but it's
nice freelance, dude.
Brilliant.
He can say what he wants.
No, I don't commentate on Moto 2 or anything like that anymore. So,
but it's just brilliant because your opinion is gonna get clipped to hell. Bulliger's getting tagged in the caption.
I'm redundant.
I will be the first person if Bulliger wins that World Championship this year, being like, finally, he's got the success he deserves, because he really does.
But you just don't think it's going to happen this year. Who's going to do it?
I'd be really shocked.
Do you think Manzi's going to do it on the Yam?
Well, he's another one who's had. I mean, he's had it even more extreme than Bulliger in some ways. He had one race as a wild card that built his entire bloody career, and then I hear he's extremely good at the academy and all the other disciplines, flat track and MX. They know how talented he is. Hence, that's why they're just sort of, come on, you've got it. Yeah, you can do it. We know you can do it there. Just do it here. And he's not done it yet, apart from a couple of those occasions, Valencia, MV Augusta a few years ago, when for some reason the MV Augusta Moto 2 bike just loved Valencia. And he was like front row and did really well, nearly got a podium. And everyone was like, bloody hell, Manzi's had his second good performance of his career. Christ. But that's a case of showing what everyone knows he can do, you know? And so
far, first and second write-offs in the championship.
That's the one way of
Who the hell's going to win World Supersport?
Don't know.
You got it after all that.
I don't cast opinions after round one of who's going to win. I only say who's not going to go
Fuck me, you just told me a life story of Bulliger and Manzi. I don't cast opinions after one round.
However...
Holy shit.
No. So my opinion is I don't know. I don't think.
Yeah, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Who do you think?
Yeah.
You got to give an answer now. I'm not letting you leave.
Bulliger?
Oh.
You have got to be joking me, haven't you?
I'll tell you who's
so
not.
So basically no one else is in the race.
I'll tell you one who's not. Jules Cluzel, he's not going to win it. That's all I can tell you for guaranteed.
Oh,
that's incredible.
God.
Wow.
Actually, we've got some other MotoGP riders in the paddock, in the World Supersport paddock this year.
Mm-hmm.
Schrotter? No, World Supersport.
World Supersport.
McPhee, Navarro, Schrotter all had. I mean, bloody. I tell you what, the person I was most happy for over the whole weekend, John McPhee. First race, straight. Like, forget the wet. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah. No.
First podium. What? Oh,
you still got to get on and pedal it round.
Oh,
get on.
So happy for John. That
brilliant.
Was absolutely brilliant. Taz as well, getting a great result too after his turbulent testing.
Sounded like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Even free practice and.
Well, he missed all of it.
It was all ridiculous.
Yeah,
missed all the testing. And...
No homologated parts coming through. His points are on hold until the bike's homologated.
Didn't turn up in time to get homologated.
Oh.
So they still can't. So they can't. Officially give him the points of. Did he finish 5th on Saturday? I think he was 5th, wasn't he?
That's not good enough.
But he's riding a stock bike. It's
why is that happening? Somebody tell me why that's happening. Like what? It's world championship.
It's world level racing, and he's riding a bike that's not as powerful as the boys in Stock 6 at BSB because they're pushing 125, nearly 130.
He's literally a British Superbike champion.
Yeah.
He's got the pedigree. He's got the name. He's going
Not
into
a
World
question.
Supersport, and it's a shit show.
Even the numbers look like they're off the front of a wheelie bin. They're not even like
It's strange,
proper.
isn't it? Because Petronas is backing him.
Yeah.
Full whack.
But
you
this
know,
is- I was
because
just about to go to
Norridin
that.
and CRN.
Yeah.
It's a huge
Petronas
outfit.
is
It is.
massive. Yeah.
So
and
what's going
also
on?
Honda there will be some link. There's some link between Granada and Honda because of all that he's done for Honda Brazil. I don't know what kind of support that means, but there's a link there. It might just be as shallow as they helped. Say hey, Eric would be a great ambassador for us. Like let's nominate him for the ride. He's really quick. But
I
it's not.
I
You're not
can't
talking
see
poor
that.
resources.
I can't, but that's the thing.
It's not a great start,
If it's
is it?
HRC, anything 1% HRC, how could they let that happen?
Even from a moral
You've got to question it.
perspective, they've got the links with the factory.
You've got to
It's
question
one of
it.
the strongest links available.
Difficult.
Why on earth has it got to that point?
And obviously Taz is in line for that World Superbike spot, isn't it? That's part of his. So I believe part of his contract.
Yeah, there's I think there's an option for a second year to
Yeah,
go on the Superbike,
in
which is obviously
Superbike.
going to be his focus.
Which
But-
is his main reason
course
for
it
going
is.
to World Championship.
It's exactly the reason for going
So,
and taking that particular
It's not
ride.
a good start, is it? Let's
No.
be honest.
Because he could have gone to the Moto X. He had that opportunity that Brad took, but it was only the European
Right,
rounds.
okay. Same as Brad, basically.
Yeah,
That deal.
It was that deal.
That deal.
Yeah, so I think he had a look at that, but wanted to do more than the European rounds.
Okay. That's an
Um,
interesting move, isn't it, really? when you
Yeah,
think
so
about
to take that and to take the step to World Supersport, I think it's a brave move, and he's taken Spanner with him as well. So
it? Huge gamble, that, isn't it?
it is. But
Bet on yourself, but what else are you going to do at this point?
You've
yeah?
got to bet.
Right?
He's
Well, I
always
mean,
going to back himself.
Take
isn't he?
the World Superbike ride and be in the grid
Well,
already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like the more realistic point of view. I know it's
On the
European
Yamaha
rounds,
as well.
but no one freaking watches Philip Byle and Mandela anyway. The time zone shit. So turn up at Assen and be
That's the
like,
beauty of Sky
"Boom,
Plus."
World Superbike. We're here, baby.
Sky Plus and work it on there. Going back to what you said about who's going to win World Superbike, let's while we're here, before we go on to, we've got a couple of questions from our Telegram people, Telegrammers. Let's make predictions now. While we're here, we had the first round of World Superbike. We've done that one. Who's going to win MotoGP? Who's going to win BSB?
Nea Bastianini's going to win in MotoGP. And in Moto 2, Pedro Costa's going to win. And just, I don't know how much so, but I think he's going to win. And do you know why that is? Aki Ayo.
No,
The IO effect.
Plus
because he's the best.
Pedro. Yeah. Moto 3, I don't know about Moto 3 really. That's quite a bit more varied.
Sergio Garcia, maybe.
Well, actually, yeah, I will say this as a Red Bull Rookies commentator. Watch out for Jose Rueda. That is another Raul Fernandez type kid.
Is Fernandez's brother in Moto 3 this year?
No, he's
He stepped up into.
No, he's gone junior GP Moto 3 doing something, or he's Raul's assistant for the. I can't remember what it is,
Really?
but he's not.
Oh, he's a talent.
He's not in Moto 3.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he ran out of.
Ran out of what?
Good fortune. That's my favourite word. I don't like the word luck. I call it good fortune.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say
That's
something
fair
else.
to
As well.
Yeah.
Our favourite word in BSB is run out of talent.
Yeah. I don't know about Moto 3, apart from watch out for Radar and also David Alonso. And also, well, actually, now we're
Munoz.
thinking of it, Munoz is just. Now there is
That's excitement.
there's a real talent, and
Diogo Moreira.
I'm gonna call him a scary guy. David Munoz is scary. He is, and in terms of like, wow, that kid is just tunnel
Doesn't care.
vision. I'm here to win. See you
Former
later,
junior world
everybody.
champion as well.
Seahole.
No,
go for
that
it.
is Danny Holgado.
Oh, was it Danny Holgado that year? That was the
So
one.
keep an eye on Colin Fire. Colin Fire is now sees Red Bull back this year in the Husqvarna team along with Sasaki.
I've never heard that name before.
Colin Fire, he nearly won the Red Bull Rookies against Rueda last year, and he was also taking him towards the Junior GP title. He's very, very good.
Cool.
Yeah, he's
Go on, give
really
us
good.
give us one. Let's go.
I'm going to say Ayumi Sasaki in Moto 3.
Oh, brilliant.
He needs to.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
His time
Well, he's getting. Well, he doesn't need to now. He's already shown that he's come of age of getting consistent podiums and some wins.
But it's taken longer than he's been usurped by other riders in
Don't
that
care.
time.
Don't care. I love Yumi. Shut up. Yumi's great.
No, he's a great guy.
Shut up.
That's me.
Go on then, Dave.
That's me in my place.
On you.
Who about you?
For MotoGP, it's going to be absolutely no surprise whatsoever.
Bagnaia.
You know it. So Pecco is going to be back-to-back world champion. Moto2, I completely agree. Pedro Acosta. I think the connection between him and Aki is too much for the rest of the teams to go for. I'd love to see Sam battling out for it. I don't know. There's always the thing with Sam is having that consistency, and he'll admit that himself. It's nothing that nobody doesn't already know. I'd love to see him put together a full campaign and be as injury free as he possibly
That's
can.
the key, I think. With
That's what I want him to be, as injury free. For Moto3, it's 1 from 8, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I
lottery.
like Diogo Moreira. I quite like what he's
I also a
about.
big fan of Diogo Moreira. Yeah,
I like what he's
really
about
good.
and what he did last year.
He got his pole position in his first rookies race as well, 2021.
That's impressive.
Never been to the Autodrome Algarve before, I don't think, or is this just his first rookies race? Maybe been in European Talent Cup or something like that, but first rookies race there, boom, pole position.
Did you ever watch fantasy football in the years gone by? It's like having Stato sat next to you.
Only on the series that I commentate
It's brilliant. Yeah, well, that's fine.
I don't know anything else.
We
I'm
need to
more
do a
than happy with
roundup
that.
like once a month of just like
Yeah.
stats. So just
Exactly.
everyone that just loves the information
Yeah.
just it will be the outlet.
It's
Only
the
on
Off Track,
some
the
specific riders.
motorcycle racing podcast stat show
No,
with
well-
Matt Dunn.
Well, that's a future
That's it.
guest, Martin Rains. Get Martin Rains on, because that
perfect.
is a wonderful person, a human being, and that is you can't even in the same sentence if you can't put my name and his and the word statistics in there. 'Cause
No,
I
he
just
is
do
the
not
So
man.
we could
care.
get the four of
Dr.
us
Martin
together.
Rains
Yeah.
would be fantastic.
For-
get the 4 of us together and we just listen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
I'm just
idea.
like, Martin, the floor's yours.
Tell the stories
Yeah.
because that's the
I
beauty.
think he's got every single copy of MCN ever,
Jesus.
something like that.
And
So-
every
some reading.
motor course
Just-
annual and all
yeah,
that kind of
Just wow.
Fair play. That's a collection. Isn't
What
it?
he has forgotten about motorcycle racing, 99.999% of the world will have never known.
No.
You know,
His knowledge fills Encyclopedia Britannica. Mine fills the back of a postage stamp. That's your your analogy for it. And for BSB, which you casually dropped a shoulder on.
oh yeah, BSB.
Fuck me, I won't even say my predictions then, shall I?
I would. Sorry, no, I'll just do it quickly. I'd love to see Jason Halloran wrap it up. Finally,
Agreed. Yeah, no argument from me on that
who
one.
do
I
you
think.
think, Ben?
Well, I was talking about MotoGP. I haven't even given you my.
Yes.
Sorry, you
Shall I
said
just
I
leave
dropped
the
the
podcast?
shoulder,
Painted. Can you just edit me out for the whole podcast?
You can't complain that I
We'll let
dropped the
these
shoulder
two
of
be the
someone
hosts.
and go, no.
You know what I mean? No one even.
I was coming
no
this
one
way.
even flicked it. You went that way with BSB.
Because he forgot.
No, you can't complain that. You've
Anyway,
got a
I
flat
don't even
anyways.
know now. We're like, I haven't even thought about
MotoGP.
MotoGP Marquez.
Oh.
I'll tell you why. Because testing's testing.
Because you love Mark Marquez.
I love him, 1. 2, I think the racing this year missed Marquez in it. And it would be a completely different dynamic with him in it. Because guess what? If he's there at the end, you can bet your bottom dollar he's coming past you.
And the others know he's there, which changes how they
Just
ride.
changes things. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
get to Europe with the Honda that's not so great. Marquez will make the difference. He's going to win the World Championship. Acosta for Moto2 for me,
Yeah.
for sure. If he stays fit, doesn't do anything crazy, he'll win that one. And I think safe bet is experience with Sasaki in Moto3. I think he looked incredible at times last year, and to be honest, he made a bit of a run for it, didn't he? So made a run for the championship. But I think he'll come back strong and he'll do the business. So I think that's an out there bet with Marquez though. I think I'm putting my neck on the line with that one.
You make a really good point there, though. Marquez is probably, maybe, the only rider on the grid whose very presence changes the behaviour
Of how the race.
everybody else.
Exactly.
But when they know he's coming up behind them, they change.
Yeah,
more
when you
than they
see
do for
plus
anybody
0
else.
Marquez on your pit board,
Yeah.
your
You saw
bum
it with
starts
Alex
twitching.
when him and Mark were racing in Portimao.
Portimao.
Yeah, he saw it in the dock, right? BSB?
BSB. I want to be political
And say Christian.
but I just think O'Halloran deserves one, and I think he'll win it this year because he's got no like direct threat with another Yamaha rider. Not saying he's not good enough. I just think that eliminates the variables.
Circumstances.
I think so. And I the Ducatis are going to be strong. We've seen that, but it's BSB. It's completely different. No electronic aids, different ball game. And I think the Yamaha will do the job there. I want to say Christian, but I think he'll be close. Are we doing Supersport? Because that's I'm going to win Supersport.
But that goes without saying.
I mean, if you're going to ask
Absolutely
me,
goes without
I'd
saying.
say Ben Currie.
Yeah, Ben Currie. That whole
Currie.
package
We're all-
of
Great.
We're all
of
in
Oxford
agreement.
product
Thanks
racing.
everyone for tuning
Ben
in to
Currie's-
Offside Podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Good luck, Ben.
I think it's the way the rules are changing in Supersport and introducing the new manufacturers and making the race, because it was a bit of a procession with the Yamaha and the Kawasaki. That was it.
Yeah.
And the introduction of Triumph last season and bringing the Ducatis as well. I think MSV have done a fantastic job with that, and with Scott Smart bringing the rules into play to allow this. And I can't wait to see how the season progresses, especially for you and for the Oxford Products Racing Motor Rapido team. That's going to be something,
Can't wait.
I
something
think
pretty
he's
cool
probably
to
better
watch.
remembering your team's name and full sponsors than you are at this stage, aren't you?
He's still learning.
Yes, it's a long old name. And I know they're in Winchester, and you're going to help me out by taking my stuff. Anyway, that's another story.
We were going to be out in Navarra for the test, but we've kind of changed tact on that a little bit. We're going to save it for Donington, and we're going to do a couple of shows here. But I'm interested to see the times coming out. I know Honda are at Monte Blanco.
Are you going to see who won the World Testing Championship at Navarra, and then you're going to make your decision? Is that what you're saying?
Mate, no, because Jason's not there.
Is he not?
No.
Oh, why is that?
No, I don't know. I think McCann's have elected not to go. I think there's a handful of teams that have elected not to go out to Spain for that test. There's plenty there. I think
It's
Honda are
probably
there.
a wise choice. Like, it's going to be cold. But
So
when else
Donington.
do you ride? Like, when do you?
Donington? It snowed at Donington.
So do you
on
go to
multiple
Donington?
tests.
Yeah, that's the thing. Do you
It's
go
going to be like
Donington?
-4 there this week, isn't it? So
Yeah, so we'll see. But we've elected not to go to that one.
Beautiful
but
place.
we will be at Donington and Silverstone for round 1. We have our telegrammers, as I put it. They've offered in a couple of questions. One we've covered about World Superbikes and do we give Bautista the title now, which is obviously yes. Phil Mayhew, I'd be very interested in Ben's view about all these penalties and fines for what he would see as racing incidents. Do you think things have gone a bit too far with
Wait,
that?
what I would see is racing incidents.
Yeah, what do you think?
Which ones?
Well, if you look at what happened with Danilo Petrucci when he got
Okay.
nerfed on, was that
Yeah.
Ika Lekawona?
Yeah, it lends.
Do you think things are getting over punished for what in 2 or 3 or 4 years ago would be described as a racing incident? I think that's the best way to.
So it's a fantastic question, because at times I am sat at the TV and watching MotoGP screaming at it. You know, like, who's making these decisions? Like, it comes down to a number of things: knowing the circuit, the characteristics, the type of track that it lends to those sorts of coming togethers, the conditions. Obviously, that was a wet race. You're coming down into a section there at the bottom, Lukey Heights. You're going right tight. You're going down around a right-hander tight, and then you're flicking into a faster left. So you're short shifting 2 gears and going left. Someone makes a mistake in the right. The person that hasn't made the mistake is going to arrive in the next corner a lot faster. You're all jostling for position. You're all trying to go for the apex. No one crashed. It wasn't malicious. Play on.
I think those two
But he got
last
a
words are
one-place
what's
penalty.
crucial for me.
Yeah.
It's intent. It's down to intent. A lot of it,
Exactly.
isn't it?
And crash as well. I know you can't always do no crash, because there are some moves
Yeah,
which are downright too dangerous, even though no one crashed. Like, yeah, you got away with that one, guys. Like, someone could have been
Yeah.
killed there. Like, that does need punishing.
Yes.
That was not that, though.
But I think
You know?
most people can sit down, watch a motorbike race and go, that was wrong. Or, there's nothing wrong with
Some
that.
people make a living from that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally. But you know what I mean? We can sit on our couch and go, nah, there's nothing in that. It is what it is. But I get it.
We're not sat there.
I get it. Some people haven't rode motorbikes and they haven't actually understood the dynamic, and the dynamic's got a big part of it. And like I said, the characteristics of the nature of the circuit, so on, so on.
What tends to matter, I think, is so long as the rules and what is permissible and not permissible is clear, then
As long as there's
fine.
consistency in the decisions.
If it's not going to be what it used to be, but nothing is, thankfully there is less real grievous bodily harm and things like that in racing these days and things like that. The safety has come a long way. So yeah, why should everything else stay the same as well, per se? It's however many.
But then
years
it can
on from
be the argument of being over policed.
But then nobody wants it to be over policed. People at the end of the day, you do have to trust that the people making those kind of calls, their instructions and commands from those above them is like, we don't want this sport to die, thanks. So we do need an element of it, but you need to play with those boundaries a bit. But I'm in agreement with your view in that particular case.
Fabulous. I like that. Thank you, boys. We've done the thoughts on the Marquez documentary from Craig Lowe. And the only other thing was, again, from Craig, what's been seen so far from testing of what testing there's been so far, which I guess is MotoGP. The Ducatis are still quick. Yamaha have got an awful lot of work to do.
In MotoGP?
Over one lap, apparently, though. It's more over one lap. They still have some of the problems and things like that. Great news from Morbidelli, though, isn't it? I mean, he was finishing just behind Fabio, actually, after Sepang. The only problem was they're about 16th to 17th.
Nearly a second off.
On the tie, yeah.
Nearly a second off.
But it's not... I mean, it seems they're in trouble, but then also I saw the stuff from their long runs, and it didn't seem that
Well, this
bad,
is it.
right?
I think if we go into depth and we have a look at lap by lap and we work out... Testing's testing.
100%.
Nobody knows where anyone's at in testing because guess what? They could be working on something completely different to what Ducati are working on, So again, it means absolutely nothing. However, if you look at simple facts like your bike going in a straight line, speed traps, etc., all these sorts of things, you're seeing a pattern forming similar to normal. I would say the gap has shrunk a little bit in top speed. So Yamaha have achieved kind of what they've set out to achieve, make their bike faster. Is it fast enough? I'm not sure. Maybe Matt can comment on that a little bit more. But yeah, I think we're going to see a similar sort of thing happening in MotoGP this year. The Ducatis are going to be good. But ultimately, I think the best riders are going to be good. So the field's that close. I think the good riders, the cream will rise. The Honda's shit. Marquez is going to win the world championship.
I'm glad you backed that up again.
It don't matter.
Wow. Yeah, that was... I mean, you said I still make some pretty definitive statements. Yours is just like...
when we take this podcast to MotoGP, I don't think we're going to get in
Ben.
Honda.
He's not. Ben can't come.
Yeah. Harry's. You're going to have an email from Harry soon, being like, "What the fuck did Ben say?"
Yeah, I know. And Harry's an Aussie as well. He's a Sydney boy, so
he'll come after you and slap you around the face with some Tim Tams,
or he'll give you a mustache and say, "Yes, you can come in, but keep it quiet."
Yeah.
Probably don't do what you did last time. Don't be you. Don't be you.
This podcast is all inclusive. It's all about being you. That's why you're here, because we want us to be ourselves. There was a fair bit. I mean, Digia seems to have found a little bit of pace after his first season. I have a lot.
Digia's one who's sort of got it and kind of nailed the outside, the off the track kind of persona and messages he's sort of putting out, his kind of style, his personality, the things he talks about. I really, really like Digi. I'm glad that he sort of almost indicated at the end of last year he's going to bail out. He wasn't feeling the love for racing anymore, was he? And then now he feels he's clearly already looking quite good.
Well, if you think that it was him in like 3 or 4 seasons ago in Moto2, and him and Jorge Navarro, they came through together. Jorge Navarro is now World Supersport, which is, I never expected to see that. I thought Jorge was one of those, like, same with Jorge Martin.
Yeah, like he's going to be there all the time.
That he was going to be one of the constants like Pecco and the guys that he's raced against, but to be kind of kicked out the other end and not make it into another Moto2 team was one of the biggest surprises of last season. Go on, Matt.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think...
Mate, you know this better than I do.
I really like Jorge, and I wanted to see him have a change, because just Moto2 is not it for some people.
Yeah,
Just sorry, mate.
Surely his results were good, no?
Yeah, but he crashed so much recently. It wasn't working. Whatever, and I'm not apportioning blame to him or the team or whoever. But he had been in some very good teams for quite a long time.
True.
He didn't. He wasn't favoured by the speed up or Bosco chassis taking a dip in form in comparison to the Kalex over the last couple of years before he moved back to Kalex. But Jorge was there for quite a while, and I think for his own personal well-being, that move to World Supers was the best thing that could have happened to him. Have less races, mate. You just got married, and you're probably starting a family. You live in Andorra. Go and spend more time in Andorra and have 12 races or 13 races. Like, actually, I don't think it's any harm, and I don't think it's bad for me or
for the human element. But for the business element,
for the racing,
if he doesn't win World Supersport, and it could be the case for a few of them big names in there, if you don't go and win that World Supersport championship,
you're in trouble. Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Where do you go from there?
That's the reality.
World Endurance, Spanish Superbikes. That's what some people are doing now. ESBK and things like that. It's starting to fill out.
That's the drop off in the World Championship is World Supersport. If you don't finish in the top 5 of World Supersport, you're paying to be there a lot of money, and then you've got to. The only next step for you is to come back to national championships and where you can make money to race a motorbike for sure. But it's a national championship, and guys that are raced in MotoGP are not going to go back. They're going to quit. They're going to go home. They're going to go, do you know what? I've done enough.
And there's a massive disparity there's a massive disparity in machinery in World Supersport as we see. So it doesn't matter if you've come from Moto2 GP, the disparity in the levels of machinery in World Supersport, we've seen it many a time. It's not down to the quality of the rider. It's down to what you're riding
a lot of the time.
And especially if you're coming back as John McPhee, whether you're coming back as Jorge Navarro, as Nicola Buliga, doesn't matter. If you're not on the right bike, Taz, prime example, is a British Superbike champion, former, Super Sport. What else has he won? He was in Red Bull Rookies. He's been all over. He's a multiple champion and a bloody good rider, and the right physique for a Super Sport bike. Maybe the Superbike was always difficult for him to tame, but fuck, did he tame it?
Yeah. But
to get back on a bike that suits his frame and physique to go and make a point, but what's underneath him at the minute isn't going to allow him to show his talent.
So circumstances we talked about, isn't it? In the right package. And unfortunately, I do think we do need to redefine. I personally don't think it's a bad thing. World Championship level riders getting burned out at the top level to then go to something like World Supersport, and if it doesn't work out there due to their circumstances, is it that bad a thing for those world level riders to come back down to national level if they so want to? Because some of them might want to still. They might be like, I think it comes.
No is the answer, but I think it comes down to what you want out of it. What do you want out of it? Do you want to, millions? If you want millions and you want private jets to fly away rounds, etc., then you're going to come back and go, do you know what? I'm just going to sack it off. It is what it is. I've put everything into it. It hasn't worked. Someone like me, for instance, I took a gamble and took a shot at going to World Supersport last year. I didn't get the package I wanted. I got a major injury. I'm so excited to come back to British Championship and try and win the damn thing and be a part of a new manufacturer that I've never been a part of with Ducati. So for me, motivation's never been higher, but it goes back to the Gardner thing a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a fall from grace, and it's very hard as a human to stomach that. And I think World Supersport, you're right on that cusp of the fall from grace being too big. And then if you don't perform in World Supersport, you think, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Here's a question then, and based on that ethos, what do you think Sam and Alex will do? Will they come back to BSB? Or do you think they have made enough of a career to go and do something else?
I think Sam and Alex are a unique situation because you've got both brothers at the moment at the top of their sports, or disciplines. So you've got Sam Lowes, who you wouldn't want to bet against winning races.
No, absolutely not.
So you've got that. And then you've got Alex, who can win a World Superbike race. Is he on the Package to Do show? Maybe, maybe not. But I think they're in a unique situation in the sense that the brand 22, the brothers, twins, I think they will be an exciting prospect for somebody with a bit of coin that can go, here you go, fellas. Let's start a world superbike team or a private tier. Let's go buy some Ducatis. Let's start a 22 racing. We'll get some budget. Monster might go, both Monster athletes.
That's going back. Let's bring back Double Vision Racing. Because that was their 125 team.
Well, there you go.
Bring that back.
So, you've got that exciting side of things that could potentially happen. And, without the facts, for sure, like I think that could be a thing, like
sure.
Down the line. And what a better place to be able to start a professional world championship team than in World Superbike because the opportunity's there. Yeah. MotoGP, the opportunity's not there. No. Moto2, it wouldn't work. World Superbike would work because they both could do it together.
Even setting off in World Supersport.
I would expand that to my favourite thing that I can't wait to see someone do in motorcycle road racing and start a team that goes and competes in all the major superbike championships around the world. They go and do couple of races in BSB, couple of races in Moto America, some World Superbike races, some Australian Superbike races. They do the whole thing and they make a massive social media campaign about it. That's what they do. They're not there to win championships. They're there to go and take on all these different championships around the world to see what Superbike racing is like across the world.
Anything that's production bike
but
based.
I think that's I'm gonna
play
piss on your
advocate.
bonfire.
Go on.
No, not piss on your bonfire completely. The regulations, there's such a disparity in regulations that it's almost impossible. I would love to see a inter-championship type style.
Like the old transatlantic days.
Exactly. You remember when America come over and vice versa?
Yeah.
Like, imagine if we had an Australia, the main continents of the world. You had a European, you had an American, you had an Australian and an Asian type style crossover where you had those 4 rounds a year, winner takes all. If you want to participate, you win £1 million. The team wins £2 million, whatever. Mm-hmm. There's got to be something in that.
Because you can't do that on a single manufacturer either, can you? Because everybody's got contracts now and there's commercial rights and everything else. But I think if money was no object, you had somebody with sort of bottomless pockets. If you took a Yamaha, let's say, just for example, and you took a Morelli loom and you took a Morelli ECU and a Morelli and a Motec dash, you've got the best of both worlds there. If you've got the knowledge of setting them both up, if you turn up to a race circuit and you've got to use Dunlops, so be it, because they're supplying them. You just got to pay for them. Engine characteristics are going to be not too far away. But if you could do Moto America, Aussie, Japanese, British, and World Endurance,
it's the limitations on the electronics that play the part. So it's whether you're allowed the traction control, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Some have got more parameters than the other. So it's like you got to set like a nice basic sort of rule set that can be transferable to all different gear and stuff. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's got to be a way to be able to do it. But again, you're not you got MotoGP running. MotoGP riders aren't going to do that. No. World Superbike riders aren't going to do that.
Well, maybe Jack Miller might do something like that someday. One after post MotoGP, he might be into that.
What we need is a Jack Miller. We need a Jack Miller to retire racing one day. Hopefully, he has a long career, and he just thinks, fuck it, I'm going to start this new championship. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna get. Yeah. He's like these YouTube boxers. Fuck it, I'm gonna box people and make millions.
So we've just gone full circle. We've come around to where's social media going?
That's
We're talking about motorbike racing.
Pay-per-view,
amazing races of ex MotoGP riders or World Championship races going to try things like American Flat Track or Aussie SBK or something like that. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
The Super Prestigio had the potential to be pay-per-view. All right, was it San Jordi?
Palau San Jordi, yeah.
It was too small. But the premise of it, of getting a load of riders together on the flat tracks, go out there and it's the end of the season, so it kind of doesn't matter. All the championships are done. Let's just go out there, stick them on a half-mile oval. And here we go, boys. This is how we're going to do it. Make it invitation only.
That's why one of my
only fan grid girls,
and boys, because we're inclusive.
That's why one of my favorite riders ever is JD Beach, because he wins races at Moto America level Superbike, Supersport, and also he rides a twin in American Flat Track, and he gets wins. Like, he's awesome.
He's a cool dude.
He is.
Great hair.
That's cool. I think that's a good place to cap this off now, boys.
Yeah.
We've done such a.
We've
Payton's
sold
looking at
racing.
us. Payton's shrinking in the background. Our esteemed videographer from Raggett
only
Productions. He's sat there going
hour
like,
40.
"You boys can talk."
But this is why we've never listened to a thing he said anyway.
You just
He
point the
offers
cameras.
no value to this podcast.
Man, this is why the camera angles and the editing's as good as it is. That's it. We did invite him to come
Yeah,
in
we'll
and
give
sit
it. We'll
down,
cut
but
him
he
some
said-
slack. He
cut
is
him
a
a-
I'm
genius.
hungry.
Yeah, no, I am as well.
Did you
So-
hear my stomach? Anyway,
No, I'm
finish the
surprised you
episode.
haven't heard mine. It's
Yeah,
just been
finish the
sat here rumbling away. But that brilliant, Ben,
Thank you.
Matt. Thank you so much, boys.
Cheers,
what a
Matt.
fantastic chat.
Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. You're welcome anytime because you're turning me into a proper host where I just ask the questions and you boys start talking because that's fine by me. I'm quite happy to do that. So anytime, you're welcome anytime, mate. And you're here anyway, so you got no choice.
Sorry. Fucking hell.
You got no choice. You are co-host, mate. You're
Yeah.
official. You
No,
got
I'm
the
loving
hoodie
it.
and that's
It's
it
good
now.
fun. Good fun.
So as always, ladies and gentlemen, please, as we said earlier on in the show, like, subscribe, share, bookmark, anything you can to interact
The
with the
bell.
show. Ding the bell. I'm not even going to press it because I can't reach. Ding the bell on YouTube because that's where we're going to go with this mainly. We're going to have the reels and everything else on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. But the YouTube thing's important to us. So please ding the bell, subscribe, because we don't want to send Matt round in the dead of night and stick a bat up your nightdress. So please do.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Bye.
Ben Currie, Matt Dunn, thank you very much.